Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Austin Carnes, and welcome back to the YouTube channel. Today, we are bringing you guys some more bonus content, and we did this already in the past, and I figured we're about halfway through the summer of grind again, a little more than halfway through the summer of grind at that, actually. And I figured it's time to break down the interviews once more. Over on my main podcast, Two Jagoffs, I've had the privilege of bringing on a new guest every single Sunday for the last several months. And about a month or two ago, me and my good friend Nick Brown, the co host of Steel City Commuters, went through and broke down every single interview. We talked about what we liked, what we didn't like, and how we thought of the episode overall, and then we gave it a rating. So we went all the ways up from Devontae Dean, the very first interview we did, up into Sam Bigham, who was the most recent at the time. With that being said, we have about 7 or 8 more that we are going to cover today, among some other bonus episodes that we did. And if we have some time, maybe we'll even touch on some of the Steel City interviews we've done, because we've done a couple of those together as well. Let's bring on, though, the co-host of Steel City Commuters. He's already side by side. I don't know what side he's on, but he's on one of my sides. He also is an honorary Jagoff and a behind-the-scenes man now for the Jagoff team. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome downtown Nicholas Brown. What up, Nick?
It's good to talk with you, Austin. Expand my role a little bit with two jagoffs, and of course, this time putting the analyst kind of hat on me to kind of analyze the last 7 or 8 interviews that we have done so far from the last time we did this just about a month and a half ago already.
Absolutely. And I know you had a lot to say about these interviews, which again, I always appreciate your feedback. I know you appreciate mine as well. That's what it's all about in the business is giving back, paying it forward, and helping each other in need. So we've done a lot of great interviews and we've had a lot of great episodes. And I feel like the best one to start off with was the oldest one, which was the week after Sam Bigham. And that was our most recent politician we had on, State Representative Anita Kulik. Now, this interview was also on Zoom. We do got to keep that in mind. I did enjoy this one pleasantly because I liked the bill that she talked about with sports officials
Yes.
and how there was going to be a misdemeanor and it's going to be raised up to I think like 2 or something. I forget what it was, but the misdemeanor gets raised now if you commit a crime against an official or a referee during a live game, which I think is great because we've seen way too much violence against officials over the last couple of years. And it really seems like she's passionate about her job. And I loved all three politicians we had on, but I personally believe out of all three of them, that might have been my best. I know you may feel different, Nick, but personally, I think Kulik was my best interview I've done in terms of all the politicians. I wish I had her in person. I would have loved to have a longer conversation with her. Still got a solid 32 minutes out of her. I think it was a great interview.
No, Anita was very good. I think that's the part that I really enjoyed too, Austin, was the bill talking about officiating because we know that sports cannot happen in Pennsylvania without officials. And looking for officials right now is very tricky given the state of everything, the state of the Pennsylvania, the state of the world, that the harassment that officials are getting in game for the bad calls that they make. And I think that's what kind of stood out in this episode is her attention to this matter, is to bringing this bill to the floor, hoping that it will be passed. And I'm pretty sure that it is going to be passed once it makes to Governor Josh Shapiro's desk because of his outstanding for sports, given his kids probably I think they do sports, and so he's going to be in favor of this. Anita Kulik really was a good standout. Really brought everything home, talking about Pittsburgh, and of course, given her county that she represents just a little bit north of Pittsburgh, correct?
Absolutely correct.
Yeah. So again, Allegheny County for where she kind of to serves at. She serves up near blanking here, up near what?
Right around where I'm at, Carnegie, actually.
Right, Carnegie. She does a lot of but just because you're not in Carnegie, right? You're in Carnegie. She oversees all of Allegheny County too. And of course, there's a lot of big school districts in Allegheny County: Pittsburgh Public, Fox Chapel, Shaler. A lot of the big districts that need these officials officiating, given all the sports that they officiate, from swimming to football to baseball to basketball to soccer to everything. Officiating is one big part. And I think this interview kind of just brings it all home for the love and support of PA officials and how important it is to get this bill passed, to be sure that more junior officials like myself would want to get involved and to be able to get these sports to help these sports to continue to move. And of course, Anita is doing everything that she can to kind of help improve Carnegie and help abroad Allegheny County, just like Teresa Cal Smith.
Absolutely. Couldn't have said it better. And I mean, Teresa Cale Smith, Sam Bigham, Anita Kulik, even though there was a bunch of different experience levels. Like Teresa Cale Smith has been councilwoman for God knows how long. Anita Kulik has been doing amazing things as representative. Sam Bigham is looking to be the youngest mayor. You can see the different age gaps, different levels of experience, and everybody's willingness to help others, which I think is really cool. I also want to shout out my dad for being the one to help me pull together this interview, as he did most of the politicians. Anita Kulik is not the last representative, though, that will be on the podcast. Let's just say there's a state representative that I just recently interviewed that's now in the vault. Me and Nick can talk about a little bit off camera, but you guys will just have to wait and see for it. Next interview that we had, arguably one of my favorites, Roger Lenhart Jr. I consider him to be a friend now, a mentor, somebody who has given me endless opportunities. He put in a good word for me to call the NWLA Wiffle Ball tournament in North Strabane Park this past year for the Wiffle Ball Championship. He put in great words for me to help me progress with my professional wrestling career and become a commentator for two different companies. He has given me endless advice. He's a 7-time Emmy Award winner, which is just crazy to say that we had on the podcast. And overall, he is just an amazing human being. I couldn't have said anything nicer about Roger Lenhart. His willing to give back to other Point Park students, and if there's other Point Park students out there listening, they can fully attest to this as well. He is willing to help and do anything in his power to get you to where you need to be. He will talk to you for as long as you need to talk to him. He will give you his number, his email, his personal info, everything that you need just to make sure that you are successful in life. He's all about helping the next generation, and that's very rare to see with a lot of like people in his generation. Roger Lenhart Jr., though, is the total opposite. He wants to help. He makes it his mission to help. And boy, oh boy, the 57 minutes that I had him on that podcast for was a thriller. I learned so much, not just as a human being, but as someone going into this profession. And I feel like the listeners of Two Jagoffs was able to at least take something from that episode.
When you win an Emmy, that's congrats. Like that's very hard to pull. But when you win seven, when you win 7 Emmys, there is nothing that you can't discount. There's nothing that you can't credit. Roger's that type of person that knows the experience, that can tell you the experience, and literally you can believe every word he says because he has that experience. He can tell you what goes on behind the scenes. He can tell you how the business is going to run. He can tell you, literally, you can finish the sentence. He can tell you how to get a job, where to apply, how to intern, what kind of intern you need to be, how to dress. There's a lot of interns that don't know how to dress properly. Both of us know that from experience.
Oh, yeah.
We know that. We're at this point that Roger is just one of the greatest. Anybody can experience him. I didn't even know Roger. I talked to him through the podcast, dropped me a follow on X. Roger's that type of person that will be able to reach out and will able to help you support yourself into getting where you need to go. 7-time Emmy Award winner. He's one of a kind. You normally don't have a lot of these people that do. Once you win an Emmy, you don't hear from them, they evaporate. Roger's the opposite. He's willing to work with you if you're willing to work. Roger's serious when it comes down to business. He doesn't want to just talk with you and then all of a sudden you just flake out. He's committed to making you get across the finish line.
Exactly. And not just that, he is so engaged with personal lives as well. I would show up about 35 minutes early to his sports broadcasting class just to BS with him. Talk about life, wrestling, because both of us have a strong love for professional wrestling, sports in general. He's a big WVU. I'm a big Pitt fan, which that's his only flaw. That's his only flaw is him being a WVU guy. But outside of that, Roger is 100% perfect. In all seriousness, though, I would literally stay before class and after class just to pick this man's brain because of how intelligent he is and how many opportunities he can present you. And my good buddy, Bryn Rees and Matt Palantri, who both were on the podcast recently. Bryn we'll talk about later in this episode. Matt, we've already talked about last time around. Both of them got big opportunities from Roger alone, too. They got to work the MEC Championship games down in West Virginia just because Roger Lenhart was able to give him that extra boost and give him that extra push and put in that good word for him. That just shows that he's willing to help out students if you put in that hard work. Just like Matt, just like Bryn, just like myself, just like you, Nick. If you put in the hard work, he is going to give back. He never even met you before, and he's already talking to you on X. That just shows how incredible of a human he is.
He has the connections, and his connections will make you go a long way. That's the thing about Roger. He has a lot more connections that a lot more people don't have because he's a 7-time Emmy Award winner. You just can't stress that enough. When you win 1 Emmy, that puts you out there. But when you win 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and potentially 7's probably not the finish line. I wouldn't be surprised if he reaches 10 given what he's done. If I remember correctly, Austin, I think he posted on LinkedIn just a few days ago, matter of fact. He's pretty much booked up for the fall semester because of how much he's involved in all these different activities on teaching campus, but then all of the different sports that he's behind the
Producing
scenes
for.
with, that he's just so busy because he has these connections, and all the connections that he has are giving these wonderful students an opportunity.
Couldn't agree more. I'll tell you what, Roger Lenhart is arguably my favorite. I still personally say this, and this is kind of a spoiler alert towards the end of the episode. I still think Andrew Palace is my best interview that I've done just due to the chemistry that we had. But Roger Lenhart, damn it, is the closest to second because my goodness, the experience. I felt like it was more of not just a conversation, it was more of a student asking advice and a mentor passing down the knowledge to his student. And the listeners of Two Jagoffs got to sit in on that like it's a seminar. And it's such a cool learning experience put into a podcast format that anybody could take something away from. My favorite part of that interview too was at the end whenever we found out how picky of an eater Roger Lenhart is. I'm glad he's just as picky. I thought I was the only picky eater. He also hates pickles. I know that's one of your criterias now. He does hate pickles just like me, so shout out to my man Roger. And he does not like ice in his Pepsi. Do not give him ice.
That was another thing that was I was very shocking. No matter when he goes out to restaurants, he asks for no ice. That I
No
didn't
ice.
expect that.
I mean, I understand why because I know people like that, but I just thought that was so funny because he was so
Yes.
he was on it. He was like, I do not want no ice. I'm like, hey, amen, man. I don't want no ice. I don't want no pickles. You don't want no ice. I got you.
That's a new criteria. Do you like ice? That's a new question going forward now. Do you like ice in your drinks? If so, why? And if not, you're gonna really be heavily critiqued on the podcast. That's
We'll
like
call it the we'll call it the Roger Lenhart question.
yeah, we'll call it the Roger Lenhart question, just like we have a Lucas Coons question. Now we're gonna add a Roger Lenhart question. I think we have to proceed that way from going forward.
Oh gosh. Well, now I got to start asking about if they like ice in their drinks or not.
Yes.
Well, next up, I have a lot to say about this interview. We'll probably be on this one for a minute because wow, the social media presence that we got from it, the growth that we've gotten from this episode alone really set the bar for Two Jagoffs over the last 2 months. Let's talk about Wes Barkley, the second professional wrestler that we've ever had on the podcast. Nick, I know you're not a wrestling fan, so you're actually speaking of this from an outsider's perspective. So I'm going to be interested to hear your opinion on this. But I'm going to keep it short and sweet before I go more in depth, and I'll pass it to you, obviously. Wes Barkley is one of the nicest human beings you're ever going to meet. He is not exactly like his character on screen. He is the most down to earth guy you can imagine. Sorry if I'm spoiling kayfabe wrestling fans, but Wes Barkley, listen, wow, wow, wow. The advice that he gave to me, the conversations that we had in person through text, he is such a giving person. I talked to him at the last IWC event that I was on commentary for. Every time I'd pass him, we would have at least a 2 or 3 minute conversation. It just shows how good of a human being he is. Speaking on the interview, though, 50 minutes and 21 seconds of pure gold. So many different clips you could have saw from it. Wes clipped some, I clipped some. It was magnificent.
I'm not a wrestling fan, but I really much enjoy this just because Wes has just like that voice, just like Roger. A lot of these guys are soft spoken and they tell the stories. And Wes also did that. I mean, Wes showed up in one in a beater. I'm trying to think what he wore.
Yeah, it was a beater and jeans and
Literally
glasses.
perfect fit. You can't ask for a better more from a wrestler that's normally hard hitting on the court here, in the ring, I should say. But anyways, he was amazing. Wes talked a lot about experience, getting that experience, and of course, just explaining how he became into wrestling, and also just showing what his day in a life is like. Wes was really good, talked a lot about wrestling too, but also for non-wrestling fans, also gave a lot of advice of how to get your career started, what how you should pursue it, the way you should go by it. This was a really good interview. Wes, again, anytime you can get a professional wrestler on, take every moment because it's you don't get that very much.
You really don't. And it's surprising that the professional wrestlers are some of the most chillest interviews out there. And you're speaking, and you're a guy that's never was into wrestling at all in your entire life. And the fact that you're able to get some enjoyment or at least take something away really shows that wrestlers not only can tell a story in the ring, but they can also tell a story on a podcast. And he did such a good job at that. The reason why I wanted to go back to Wes was a conversation we had on the episode, which led to conversations off the episode during in DMs and at IWC was about getting in the niche, getting in the algorithm, being able to grow your social media pages. We've been posting promos on Mondays, and Wes Barkley was one of the one that gave that advice to us. Try and take clips of an interview and start posting them throughout the week. So we post them the day after and then kind of get that mesh going. And guess what? Every interview has grown since Wes Barkley. Some of them have been notable names, some of them have been not so notable names, but at the end of the day, they've all seen significant growth because of the algorithm, because of that niche, because of those small clips, because of the shorts, because of the reels. Wes Barkley was the one that helped us did it. And Wes Barkley, as of today, is our most viewed episode in Two Jagoffs history. This is more views than all of our Super Bowl specials, any of our NFL weekly predictions, any of our previous interviews, any of the old episodes with old management, new management, any management. Wes Barkley is literally on top of all Two Jagoffs episodes. And it's not, I don't think it's my best. It's not my favorite. It's an amazing episode. But the fact that it did so well, and it did so well in the social media algorithm to the point where even WWE guys saw it, and people within professional sports saw it, like the Steelers and like the Penguins, that right there was like, whoa, wait a minute. This actually got out there pretty quick. And I saw numbers skyrocket afterwards. It's been pretty staggered since, but Wes Barkley, the week after of that interview, was the best week in Two Jagoffs history.
Isn't Wes Barkley also one of the only interviews that have gone to post clips day after day and continue to share it day after day and tagging Two Jagoffs to promote it? That's a thing about the guest. That's an outlier of Wes that nobody really has done yet. Wes has taken the time to post clips of himself, reshare Two Jagoff clips, and continue to spread that he was on the podcast. No other guest has done that. Yes, they'll share it, but Wes went far and above beyond expectations to putting himself out there, putting Two Jagoffs out there.
That's a great point that you brought up, and I'm glad, and you summed it up better than I could. Wes Barkley would literally edit his own clips from the episode, and he made sure to tag me and the Two Jagoffs account every single time. Gave credit to both of us, even used the Jagoff lingo in some of our like inside jokes within his promos. And each of them got like tens of thousands of views because Wes has a much bigger platform than we do. So his big platform exposed our platform, which grew ours. And it was just an insane cycle. And like I said, man, I am forever grateful for Wes Barkley. He's a friend of the show. He knows that he's welcome back anytime. I actually have a couple of his buddies from Cleveland, some more wrestlers coming on. So don't be surprised if we see some more post clips like that with some more wrestlers down the line. But no, I got to give a shout to Wes Barkley. Easily one of my favorites I've ever done. Thank you, Wes. Thank you for all that you've done.
Yeah, Wes went far beyond expectations. Really good for Wes to join you, and I'm pretty sure he's going to be coming back on, hopefully within the next few months when wrestling is going to be wrapping up.
Oh, he has to. And before I get to the next interview, I mean, technically this wasn't an interview. This wasn't even an episode at all, but I feel like we have to mention it because it happened since. We did have Andrew Palace return, but not in an episode format, in a promo format.
Yes.
I finally ate the pickles.
And I bet it felt very good.
What'd you think of that promo?
I was shocked to just see the atmosphere of this promo. Was it at IWC or was it at
It was backstage at IWC.
Okay, it was backstage at IWC. You were in a suit. Let's just start there. Austin Carnes eating pickles in a suit, Andrew Palace in wrestling form. The pickles, I think this topped expectations. You kept saying for a long time, no pickles, nothing. Well, we finally got that day to come for you to test pickles, and you had that taste in your mouth, I guarantee you, for hours. Andrew played that off so well, helped you with this promo. This was probably one of the best promos of all time. Even with all the beatings that you have taken and all, and all the Lucas Carey stuff, you eating pickles and Palace helping you film this was far beyond the funniest promo ever.
I totally agree, man. I gotta tell you what, the fact that he agreed to it, here's the story behind it. So I told him at one of the Enjoy shows that I was working, I said, hey, listen, if you actually bring pickles to the next IWC event, I'll bring someone backstage to film it, and I'll actually eat the pickles on camera, and I'll make a joke out of it. And he said, okay, bet. And I thought he was going to forget about it. I thought he was going to maybe not really care. I even DM'd him like, hey, don't forget the pickles. And he said, I got you. And I honestly didn't have any expectations. I didn't think he was going to bring them. I thought he was going to be too busy and forget about it. So next thing you know, 2 days before the show, I find out that I'm on commentary for the first time. I'm making my debut, which since then I've called 5 different wrestling shows, which I'm very blessed for. I'm very happy about it. We're going to have to talk about that in a different episode later on. But I'm already kind of nervous. I'm on edge. I'm in my suits, like you mentioned. I'm going through the rundown. I'm trying to make sure I'm ready to go. I'm trying to lock myself in because I've never called a wrestling event before. This is literally a childhood dream about to come true for me. And out of nowhere, you think pickles are on my mind, right, Nick? Nope, no pickles are on my
Nope.
mind. I'm sitting there going through my rundown, and out of nowhere, someone slaps me on the chest as hard as they can. Boom. And I'm like, the hell? I look up, it's Palace. And I'm like, oh, hey, what's up, man? Give him a handshake, bring him in for a hug. And he whispers, he gets real close to my ear and he goes, I brought the pickles. And I'm like, no, you didn't. And he's like, oh, yes, I did. He gets his duffel bag and pulls out the biggest jar of pickles imaginable. And I'm like, oh, good God, I'm actually going to have to eat pickles tonight. And the worst part is, I'm on commentary this time. It's not like I'm on a camera where I can just eat and snack the whole time. No, I have to actually talk the whole show. So after I did the pickle promo, I still had two more matches to call. I had pickle juice in my mouth the entire time. The entire time during those two matches. And I'm trying not to throw up. It was awful. But the promo was amazing. I love Palace. Let's just say Palace and I are actually working on a project behind the scenes right now. So Palace will be returning very soon. I just was DMing him earlier today.
Pickle Palace.
Pickle Palace will be returning. He is our
What's your group chat name? Andrew Palace's little pickle boy.
thanks. Yeah, that's my name that Lucas named me.
When you like pickles and Palace makes you eat pickles, it seems like
I'm the pickle boy.
the pickle duo will be returning soon to Two Jagoffs.
It'll be returning to two Jagoffs
The
very soon.
exclusive. It's the only it's the only podcast that you know that an exclusive pickle duo is going to be returning.
That is true. That is 100% true. Well, let's move into our next interview now. This was probably the most interesting interview because in the first time in the history of two Jagoffs, I was not alone for this interview.
Correct.
This interview was the first ever co-interview, in two Jagoffs history, and it was with a very special guest from Point Park University. Angelo Gargaro was a podcasting teacher that I had last semester. He does so much at Point Park, and if you listen to the episode, you already know it was great. My man Lucas Coons finally made his debut co-interviewing a podcast with me. The episode ended being an hour and 16 minutes long. Lots of funny moments. Lots of advice was given about podcasting, music, sports, you name it. Angelo even
Colors.
shared the Cowlers. You can't forget about the Cowlers. Angelo shared a Sidney Crosby story, which was the highlight of the episode, in my opinion. I love that question. But there was some iffy moments because, again, it was Lucas's first time ever, so we have to take that into account. There was some timing issues there as well. I want to go over to you on this one first, though, Nick. I think the Angelo episode did amazing. I'm looking at the numbers right now. It's the fifth best interview in history, so Angelo definitely did pretty solid in terms of numbers. But what's your overall opinion on the episode itself?
Colors.
Fuzzy Wuzzy Brown.
Yes. And now that the fact that Angelo and Kyle are going around saying you can literally buy a certain color in store, that I think is a good takeaway. No, Angelo was very, very good in this interview. Really talked about podcasting, gave his story, gave his experience. Lucas, first interview, lots of timing issues. Again, that always happens when you go from Zoom to in person, knowing when to signal. And even just trying to make sure everybody's on track. It's very hard when you are in person and you're trying to just get the gist of a conversation. When you're interviewing someone for the first time and you really don't know the chemistry, you have to be on your A game because you have to figure out when someone's going to stop pausing. You have to know when a question is going to be asked. You kind of have to know how the conversation flows. Even us two today, when we're in person, we still have that issue, mainly because we, and in both podcasts, I could say this, we're experiencing how to set up for an interview. We're trying different camera angles. We're trying where to position ourselves. We're just trying to make sure it feels homey. It feels like everybody is included. The seating is the most important part in an interview, especially if I'm the guest and you have two different hosts on, and you have two hosts, but one's on each side of you. You have to kind of be looking at both ways and kind of making eye contact off the side without directly staring at who's going to ask what question before you automatically turn. And I think that's also a big part in TV and podcasting, no matter how you try and do an interview. When you put the guest in the middle and you have two different hosts, two different on-air people beside you, you kind of have to get the gist of how each person talks, how the questions are going to be flown, if it's going to be a back and forth or 2-to-1. There's a lot of scenarios that you have to play around with to make sure that the interview goes perfect, but also you as the guest have to be able to make sure that you're giving equal time to both people to respond to for questions and doing follow-ups and trying to get the gist of each person.
The overall solid interview, you would say?
It was a solid interview. It's just Angelo is just has a lot of experience and definitely would love to come back because there's probably a lot of stuff that you didn't even get to touch with Angelo, given it was already an hour 16 minutes. And there's a lot more to follow up with Angelo on within once after sports season starts to wind down in terms of baseball.
For sure, for sure. Well, the next interview we had, I think we had another very special guest. I'm kind of looking in the camera. It was you. It was you, Nick Brown. Yeah, you, this co-host of Steel City Commuters, joined me on Two Jagoffs for a co-interview, and not just any co-interview, the first ever Two Jagoffs Steel City Commuters crossover. Very own School of Communication Dean Bernie Ankney joined us on the
Burn
podcast. Good
Dog.
old Bernie. Burn Dog, yeah, who doesn't love Bernie? It was a great episode. Bernie was fun, shared a lot of experience. I will say at times it was a little hard to keep up just because, again, it was a new atmosphere, new setting. Both of us, first time ever doing an interview. Bernie also speaks a little slower than some of the other guests that we had on, which is totally okay. He's much more experienced within careers and he's a lot more soft spoken than some of the other guests that we've had on. Angelo, oh my goodness, him and Kyle, they talk a mile a minute. So keeping up with them's already a hassle. So it was a nice slow pace to be able to like sit there and learn from Bernie. But I know some listeners might have got lost on that. But at the end of the day, I still feel the episode overall 100% was great. Bernie, just like Roger, has connections for days. He has experience for days. He talked about that in this episode. We also talked a little bit about some Pittsburgh sports and his thoughts and opinions on it, which was really cool hearing somebody that we look up to within the university share an opinion that both of us have had since we were children. So it's really cool being able to discuss that. The age gap difference between hosts and guests also plays a big role into this as well. I think it helped both of us mature in the interviewers as well. And the advice that Bernie passed down, not just to us, but to the listeners, we could take with for the rest of our lives. So I'm very blessed that Bernie came on.
I like that interview. That was the first crossover, but that's not the last crossover. Let's just hint at that. The interview itself was decent. We both had great questions. Again, our chemistry is decent, but again, we have to work on the timing. And sometimes both of us, let's be honest, even when it's just us two, we're like looking around out of touch here. Hand cues, we got to get better at it. But again, when you have this time with a dean, specifically School of Com, one of your majors, it's always good to talk with, expand upon. And again, Bernie and as well as all of these guests will be welcome back. So we will do like a follow up because that's what I love to do is if a guest is going to be coming back on, I'll go back and re-listen and do a lot of follow up questions, especially if it has to do with sports and trying to match their expectations from what they first said to where the team actually ended up finishing and also career routes too. How do you follow up with you want to go into broadcasting, but you have the wide range. You have sports, you have the journalism, you have the anchoring, and then you want to go if you want to go into what I want to do is finance broadcasting. How do you kind of spin them all together and kind of wrap everything into one?
Fully agree. And I'll tell you what, if it wasn't for Bernie coming on, I don't think a lot of the other interviews that we have coming up the next month or so wouldn't be possible. So it's gonna be a nice rocky ride over the
Yes,
next couple months to say the least, especially with the fact that August is already fully booked and we're halfway booked into September.
for both podcasts too.
Both podcasts too. And
Oh,
two Jaguars, we got a lot more wrestlers coming on, which I know everybody loves. Who doesn't love our good old wrestlers? This one I want to keep brief though, because this one wasn't an interview, but we did a lot of episodes throughout this past month too. We did the NBA Finals recap, the big Steelers trading Fitzpatrick episode. Me and my dad covered it. Me and my dad also played Father and Son Sports Confessions, one of my personal favorite game shows. We did a couple of specials as well, blind rankings with Mr. Jack Dean. We did the STBC special with both Kevin and Mr. Jack Dean. And we also did an episode where Robbie Inspikowski, one of the guests, made his return. And not only did Robbie return to talk about the Pirates and his career a little bit more, but Lucas Coons also joined me in that episode as well to pick his brain a little bit and to finally squash the beef. So without going into too much detail on this one, Nick, just because, again, this one wasn't really an interview, but I still figured it was worth mentioning. What do you think about that Robbie episode?
Robbie redeemed himself. Back on when he officially came on for an interview, I was hesitant, but again, Robbie redeemed himself. He's no longer a Jagoff. Austin is the biggest Jagoff of all time. As we all kind of concluded from that interview, Robbie was very good, has a lot of, again, lots of insights, was with the Pirates for almost 13 15 some years. It was a long, long time. I actually had the pleasure of reaching out to Robbie as well, introducing myself. Robbie and I have
Mhm.
connected on LinkedIn. And again, we're just starting that process of connecting. And you never know where Robbie may end up on the other side of podcasts on, Still City occasionally. You never know what happens in the business.
Might be down the line. Who knows if Robbie will be making a return pretty
But
soon. But I
Lucas
love
did
Rob.
redeem himself. Lucas, very good interview. Very good with the color segment because Robbie was also confused. He goes, "What the hell is this? You 3,000 people that tune in for colors need some help." That was probably the biggest line and biggest takeaway.
Definitely was. And that was a twofer that day. We did two different episodes. Robbie was the first, and the second ended up being the next interview we're talking about. Our third ever professional wrestler, a one that I've been wanting to have on for a very long time, Gannon Jones Jr. I
Gannon, welcome.
love Gannon to death. One half of TME, former champion in every single promotion.
A New
Enjoy
Kensington native, a hometown of mine.
New Ken native, 880, IWC.
Gannon has it
Enjoy
all. His
Exodus.
resume is already filling the page.
Dude, Gannon's incredible. All I'm gonna say to you is this: is good job, Lucas. You did an amazing job
Yes.
co-hosting this one. And Gannon, I freaking love you, man. Thank you so much for making the time to do that. Definitely the best dressed guest that we've had on. That man pulled up in a three-piece suit. Gannon looked incredible.
I was so shocked. I've never seen a wrestler, let alone a guest, dress up in a suit in 90-degree weather. I think that was a day that it was like 90 some degrees outside. Best dressed guest of all time. So much experience, not even just from the wrestling side of things, but again, career aspects and how to get into your career, everything above. Gannon was the best. And even the promo with Gannon, we figured out again. We figured out again, Austin is the biggest jagoff of all time because even Gannon Jones Jr. crushed you.
Well, I mean, in all fairness, Lucas was trying to take my thunder again, and I was calling him out on it. And I guess Gannon took a little offense to that. I don't know what the hell his problem was, and he decided to headbutt me, nearly give me a concussion. So thanks, Gannon. I hope you're happy, but it's okay. I'm good now. He left a little mark, but we're good.
Are you? Because you never know what's going to happen in Still City. I might be headbutting you when we have our next guest.
Oh, don't you start. You'll bounce me off. You'll bounce off me like a boomerang. A little boing right off me. But no, do you think I deserved it? You really think I deserved that headbutt?
Yes.
Thanks.
When you talk behind new management's back, you'll never get away with it.
Well, there's one more interview we're going to talk about today, and I know this one we both still is it's still a really new, so we really can't go in too much detail. Maybe we'll pick back up with it next time around when we do this. But I feel like we should at least mention it just because it just came out literally yesterday. Bryn Reese, the interview with Bryn Reese. She is also a sports comp student at Point Park in the same boat with Matt Palangi. Does a lot with UView, to Globe, Sports Comp Club, you name it. Got an hour five out of her. I think she was a great guest. I feel like she gave a lot of great insight on her Pirates internship.
I was gonna say, let's just shout that out because that was the first few minutes. Pirates intern and what she does for the Pirates intern. I
Yeah.
didn't realize the long list of what she does, and she's the only Pirates intern too this summer. It's so interesting to see an intern put so much work together behind the scenes that you don't realize. Anything that you see on the scoreboard, all the games that they play, all the bios, all the headshots, everything that you have to edit, everything that comes down to it. That's what a Pirates intern does. And that's Bryn Reese from Point Park. I know it's a bummer she couldn't do it for college credit because she was talking about that, if I'm
Yeah.
correct. But again, the amount of experience that she's going to have just doing that, because look how many home games. You have to make sure that the lineups are correct, the spelling is correct, the scoreboard is ready to go, like lining everything up. Game day is probably the busiest, but also leading up to game day is probably the busiest because you need all the correct information, all the players' names, their height, um, where they went, just everything from behind the scenes to getting game day to at game day and then in the moment. What happens if something goes wrong? Bryn kind of talks a little bit about that and kind of just signals what the Pirates intern has to do. It's a really good gig, but you have to be sure you're on your A game and you want to go into that kind of sector, into that area of interning and being in broadcasting.
Great analysis as always, Nick Brown. Bryn Reese was incredible. Thank you, Bryn, so much again for coming on and making the time to do so. And thank you to all of the guests that came on. Bryn, Gannon, Bernie, Angelo, Wes, Roger, and Representative Kulik, along with Robbie as well for returning, and of course our honorary Jagoffs, Kevin, Mr. Jack Dean, and yourself, Nick. You guys have all provided some great insights. My dad and Lucas has killed it with episodes these last couple months as well. Views have gone up every single week. I'm very excited that the weekly predictions will be returning soon. Of course, me and Lucas have some division breakdowns we're going to be doing, going through every single team and looking at them before the season starts. And then the interviews are going to get better and better. Expect more wrestlers, expect more politicians, expect more broadcasters, and expect maybe a couple bonus guests.
Go Cowboys. I definitely hope you guys will be picking them for your weekly predictions.
Really? You had to ruin the episode right there by mentioning the Cowboys. I was
You're
going to
gonna
show you this on Steel City, but I may as well show you
hey,
this.
you're gonna ruin it anyways when you pick your Cardinals, so I'd figure just get that out of the way. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Palangi and I are very excited.
There, how's that look?
We even have a picture of you, if I'm not mistaken, in some photos floating around with you in a Cowboys hat. That's very interesting. I think people want to see that. We have a photo of you in a Cowboys hat.
I plead the Fifth Amendment.
We can really throw it up on the screen. We have it in the vault.
I plead the Fifth. I'm executing my Fifth Amendment right.
Go Cowboys. Really excited for the weekly predictions.
Very excited. Nick, I really do appreciate you taking the time to hop here on Zoom real quick before I got my new phone today. I really appreciate you all so much for tuning into the YouTube channel. Make sure you leave a like, subscribe, and comment down below. Next time we'll be doing this is when we have several more interviews in the vault. So we will see you guys all next September. Peace.